Welcome to the Therapy Show podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. In each episode, I interview a seasoned and knowledgeable talk therapist from the counseling world to glean valuable insights, techniques, and tools that you can apply to your practice and your life. And if you're considering a career in the counseling field or just want to hear about what it's like to be a talk therapist, then this is the podcast for you. Hey friends, welcome to today's episode of the Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. Before I jump into today's guest, I want to ask you a question. Are you on the lookout or hunt for amazing continuing education contact hours? Because I always am. And I want to share that on August 1st and 2nd, I will be attending the Low Country Mental Health Conference in the beautiful, gorgeous city of Charleston, South Carolina. If you haven't been to this conference yet, I highly recommend it. It's 2 full days. I think you can earn up to around 14 contact hours for your license. And it's chock full of value. It's chock full of amazing speakers, amazing presenters. You will network with some of the greatest folks in the Southeast, I promise you. And of course, you get to go to the gorgeous city of Charleston, South Carolina, where you will eat your way through a gorgeous city. So if you are looking for a conference, and maybe this year, I'm sharing it, it's kind of too late for you to get it into your schedule, consider next year, 2020, looking up the Low Country Mental Health Conference. Their website is lowcountrymhconference.com. I'm sure they'll put up their dates. It's usually the first week in August. That's usually when they have the conference. But it's a gorgeous venue, a gorgeous city, and I hope that maybe you will consider coming. Today's guest, Stephanie Lincoln, is a licensed professional counselor and has pivoted her skill set and created a unique and innovative company. However, it wasn't until she was laid off from her government contract position that she had to start over again. In fact, I think she says she's been laid off a couple of times from government contract positions. But a phone call from a clinical connection led her to working at a weight loss camp as the clinical director. And when she returned from the camp, she then received a request to work with the Florida National Guard to help soldiers get back into fighting condition. And from there, her idea, Fireteam Whiskey, was born. Fireteam Whiskey is an all-encompassing health program. Stephanie has created and published 4 unique eating programs or plans, a specialized line of nutritional shakes, bars, and other performance supplements, and a fitness program that requires no equipment and minimal time. And I promise y'all, it will kick your butt. Fireteam Whiskey encompasses all of those intangible things that a military member and first responder is driven by: duty, camaraderie, and mission. She has created the very first and only health and fitness program exclusively for military members, veterans, and first responders. Today on the show, Stephanie talks about her journey to starting Fireteam Whiskey, the challenges she faced along the way, and how she uses social media to grow her brand, and why going for no is so important in this business. We hope you enjoy this episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of The Therapy Show. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard, and today's guest is somebody I've been super excited to bring onto the show. In fact, she's just doing incredible things in the world of counseling, in the world of fitness, and also in business development and marketing. And I'm just so over the moon that she's here. A little bit of background on my guest, Stephanie Lincoln. Funny part is that Stephanie was my program supervisor many years ago when I was a contractor for the military. And that's where I first met her. And she herself is a former Army captain. So Stephanie was my program supervisor manager a couple years ago. And I just love her heart. I love what she stands for. And her story is just so cool and unique. So I'm going to have her introduce herself. So welcome to the show, Stephanie Lincoln.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm so excited about what you're doing. This is so unique. And I really wish that many, many years ago, probably back when podcasts didn't even exist. I don't even know if podcasts existed when I got out of graduate school. But I wish I had something like this to learn from, to give me guidance as a young clinician. And especially when I branched out and started doing private practice, like what a wealth of knowledge and resources to hear from all sorts of people who are doing things very differently and very successfully, and also just people who are just super experts in all of these different areas that you would never think of when it comes to being independently, practicing mental health counselor.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for saying that. I don't think podcasts were even around when I graduated grad school either. And neither was the social media was just kind of taking off back then. And I think you're right. Nowadays, we have
we have so much access to information and to kind of connect with people that we are inspired by or we want to mentor with. So I love that. Thank you so much for saying that. Okay, so one of the things I love about your story is that you started out as a captain in the Army. You're also a licensed professional counselor, and now you own a company that is based around fitness and wellness for military. So can you walk us through how you decided to become a talk therapist and then how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, I think my story is very similar to a lot of people who end up in the mental health counseling world. I grew up in a very dysfunctional family, very chaotic, a lot of mental health issues in my family. My mother's mentally ill. And I think just kind of out of wanting to help people, knowing I wanted to do something that was helpful to others, and then also having that exposure to a lot of mental health issues and wanting to kind of make sense of those things, I just decided to, apply for a mental health counseling master's program. So yeah, right from the get-go, I just wanted to be a counselor for some reason, and there it is. So very similar background to most people who get into this field, is, just kind of out of trying to understand the things, the worlds around us, and the maybe some of the things that we were exposed to at a young age. Yeah, so I thought I wanted to help kids. I learned really quickly I did not want to help kids. Yeah, so that's what, your early years in your field, you figure those things out. And actually ended up, it was still helping kids, but I ended up in the prison system, and I ended up being the clinical supervisor, basically running the clinical programs at a 50-bed high-risk juvenile facility. And within that work, I was actually specialized in juvenile sex offender treatment, and then also got certified to provide adult sex offender treatment. So I had some contracts with the Department of Corrections. So I was doing that, and I thought that was kind of the career path I was on. And then, of course, just like any other government jobs that you get, you wake up one day and go to work and find out you've been laid off. So kind of had to start all over again. But the timing was perfect, because I decided, okay, I'll just kind of open my private practice, because I have these contracts with the government, and continue to do those assessments and things. And I got a phone call from a former battalion commander of mine and a company commander. They were both on the phone, and they said, hey, we have this brand new job they just created, and it's called the Director of Psychological Health for the Florida National Guard. And we want you to take the position, because you're a guardsman. I was in the Guard for 10 years, and we don't want some civilian coming in here messing things up, and they don't understand us and the way we work, and they haven't been in the military, and they don't know how the Guard works. So we want you to take the position. You're perfect for it. So I said, all right, let's do this. So I was embedded in that world for the next 9 years in various positions. So that's kind of how I ended up in military mental health. Not that I, had initially sought out doing that, but just myself being in the military and having the experiences that I've had getting involved in that world. So fast forward, got laid off again 9 years later, and get a phone call again. I feel like I'm not like in charge of my destiny, Lisa. Like, do you ever feel that way?
Totally.
Things just happen, and I just kind of have this, one door closes and another opens. I'm the perfect example of that in my life. Got a call from a psychologist friend of mine who runs the clinical resources for a company called Wellspring Camps. And what they do is they have summer camps this is even for kids, for adolescents and adults, college age mainly, to basically do, they used to call them fat camps, right? So these are mainly focused on obese individuals who are taking the summer to kind of focus on losing weight, learning better tools. And within this, they have a clinical program. And she wanted me to basically run one of her clinical programs at her camps. And I said, well, that sounds really cool. I love the idea of running around with these people and helping them, lose weight. And I had gotten my fitness certification at that point. I was teaching some group fitness. And I said, but I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know anything about this. I've never done any weight loss counseling or anything like this. And they said, oh, don't worry about it. We're going to send you to like this DBT training, and they use DBT. So I went to this 2-week course, got like certified to do this, went and ran this camp, and I came back and I was like, man, I should do this. This is really something that people need, because we all know when we have fitness and health goals, that's the thing that gets in the way the most, is we get in our own way. It is, especially with women, there's emotional aspects to it. There's a lot of, especially eating disorder type of behavior. I myself had experienced that in my own family. My mother's anorexic. So I just was like, wow, this is kind of a really good transition for me. And then kind of in the meantime, I got asked back out to do some work with the Florida Army National Guard Wellness Camp. And basically, this is kind of the same concept. So they have a 2-week AT period. If you don't know anything about the National Guard, they come together 2 weeks a year, usually to train with their unit. But what they are doing now in some states is they're bringing all of those soldiers who cannot meet their fitness and physical body fat goals, and bring them to this 2-week AT that's specialized in helping them, basically a fat camp, helping them lose the weight, giving them the tools that they, should be using to take back and hopefully make some permanent changes in their life. So I got asked out to do some stuff with this camp, because obviously I had this experience. And I came back from the first camp and I was so pumped. And I was like, wow, this was so much fun. This is like a combination of like everything I love to do. Like it's a military environment, but I get to do the eating psychology stuff and the nutrition and the fitness and working out. And it's just a great combination. And my fiance looked at me and he's like, well, why don't you just do that? And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, just like make your own company and help military members lose weight and get fit and like work on their mental stuff that gets in their way. And I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. So that's what I did. And we created Fireteam Whiskey.
I love it. I love your story. I think it's so smart. I can't get over how smart I think you are. And especially tell your fiance he's a genius for recommending.
Yeah, it was totally his idea. I can't take credit.
I think it's so cool. You have such a niche. You are so specialized, and you just specialize in things that you're super passionate about. So it's all come together for you so well. I'm not saying it's been seamless or it's been easy. I know you've had right. I know you've had lots of challenges along the way. But I think once again, it is just, I want to reiterate, I know I say it all the time, but there are niches out there that are wide open for talk therapists to come in and take their passions and their skill sets and make a difference, right? And so I just love what you're doing. In fact, I took everything, because you went ahead and sent me some, because what you're going to talk about are, you created some products, some supplements, and you sent them to us, and Billy and I got to test them out and taste them, and they were so amazing. I took them to the South Carolina Army National Guard, and I said to our health and wellness person, hey, you need to be checking out what Stephanie Lincoln is doing. And I know, which is cool, because I know you guys have chatted, and I love it. And I just got to be a little nerdy and say that I love the program that you've created. I was brought in a couple years ago with the South Carolina Army National Guard to do the behavior change portion of a similar program that we had. We don't have it anymore because of funding and stuff, but I get so excited about what you're doing. So can you talk about like how you just got going with it? Like, what were your first steps you took when you decided to create Fireteam Whiskey?
Looking back now, I probably would have done some things differently. I think what we all fall into as entrepreneurs, brand new business owners, is we have this vision, right? And we're like kind of absolutely married to what we want it to look like. And I think that narrows our thinking a little bit. And I kind of had this vision of exactly what it would look like, which helped a lot, because I think with our marketing and the way we look and feel, it really helped us kind of stand out immediately from everybody else out there. We don't look like anybody else. We're very distinct, and creating that niche market. But I think I should have been a little bit more open to, what it could look like versus what I absolutely felt like it needed to look like. Mm-hmm. So the transition, we've been launched basically for a little bit over a year now. We look different than when we first opened back in, May of last year, 2018. So We initially had, it was a pretty expensive package. You had to do the supplements. A lot of the core things we're still married to at this point, because there was parts of our program that I absolutely needed to have within it. And of course, the fitness videos done by people who actually are military veterans, first responders, and, like corrections, because that's who we're serving. And, I know that for me, if I'm firefighter and I'm turning on a video and it's just I'm just thinking of like 80s era, like, like dancer-cise or whatever, right. I'm not going to identify with that. And I know as a veteran, I just connect with other veterans. I have that instant connection, and I'm more likely to do what you say if I know we have that one thing in common, right? So that's what I wanted to make sure we had within our program. Other than the nutrition, of course, the third thing that I absolutely had to have as a part of our program was our warrior wellness component. And that is kind of our eating psychology / health education / wellness part of our program, because I didn't want to create yet another fitness and nutrition program, because there's a gazillion of them out there that is only going to work temporarily, as long as they're a little bit motivated for a couple weeks, and then they're going to fall off the wagon and they're just going to look back and go, well, this program didn't work for me. Mm-hmm. So adding that component, which almost no one else is doing, you're seeing some, like YMCA is starting to kind of do some health initiatives with that, but like to kind of have a captive audience, since we are a virtual program, to basically have them watch, just like you're watching your fitness videos and following along with it, you're watching your warrior wellness videos and you're following along with it. Mm-hmm. And, coming in and bringing in people who are experts in their areas of every area of health. So not only nutrition and how to read labels and things like that, but I interviewed my favorite Army chaplain to talk about spiritual health and the importance of spiritual health and how that is connected with your physical health. And I interviewed Ironman triathlon completer. He's completed quite a few of them, but he is a Marine combat veteran who, suffered from terrible PTSD and was suicidal and was a drug addict. And basically, like, discovering triathlon saved his life. Mm-hmm. And he's now like a leader in the area of, the Ironman triathlons and helping Gold Star families actually train up for Ironmans.
That's cool.
So yeah, motivational stories like that meditation and, behavior change and why willpower doesn't work. And I'm just like thinking of all the titles of our warrior wellness videos, because if we were able to, I think of everything like a toolbox, right? So like, we're clinicians, that's what we're doing with our clients, right? Mm-hmm. We're basically just like having them come in, open up their toolbox, taking a look in and going, wow, you have like 2 tools you use. That's awesome. But what happens when those 2 tools don't work? So it's the same thing with health and fitness goals, just like with mental health goals, right? Mm-hmm. We want them to just dump some tools in there, know how to use them in their life, and just have more. So they're more likely to be successful.
Very cool. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. I know I keep saying it, but I truly love it. I get so excited because my other passion, for those of you who don't know, is fitness and health and activity and behavior change and motivation for change. And so I am over here just like, I'm jumping out of my seat. Like, I'm holding myself back. I'm so excited for what you're doing. So we talked about the training videos. So you have the workouts, you have the warrior wellness, and talk some about the supplements that you guys created, because I think that's a really neat aspect of what you offer.
Yeah. So again, this kind of goes back to my staunch belief and, like it has to look a certain way. So I, was like, all right, we have to have supplements because we all know, especially with military members and first responders and just busy people in general, what we do to ourselves is we kind of get in a bind. We don't plan. We don't bring food with us. And especially with first responders, they don't know when the next time they're going to, be able to eat. They're on a shift. They may have, 10 back-to-back calls. and they end up making poor choices out of desperation and hunger and no prior planning. So I really wanted to include just, basic protein bars, but protein bars that were different from everything else on the market, because and this was a very long process. This was like an 8-month process, working and finding a vendor that would be willing to do customized recipes with us, because I was, staunchly against gluten, soy, grains, hydrogenated oils, sugar, none of that could be in our products. So I basically kind of stripped down and, made our bars as natural as possible. So they can, look at these nutritionally and say, not only are they delicious, but they're actually way better than, nutritionally than I can get, at a GNC. So, and then of course, as a part of our nutrition plans, we are low carb focused. We're paleo and keto focused. I wanted to create a keto bar and a MCT shake. I'm a big believer in MCT. It has a lot of health benefits. So I wanted to have a couple products that had those things in it. So we did create from scratch a keto bar, which is delicious. It's a coconut oil bar. And then we have a protein/coconut oil shake, which I actually am drinking right now. I just got off a plane. Yeah. I shook it up on the plane with some ice. And this is my, you're on the go. You never know when you're going to be able to eat or if you have a healthy choice. And instead of the garbage that the airline was offering, all carbs and sugar, that's what I am having for lunch.
Well, they taste really good. The samples you sent us were gone. I especially love that keto bar. That is so good. Oh my gosh.
That's my favorite.
Yes. They're so good. And then the protein bars are they're tasty as well. They're very good. I have the shake. I haven't had a chance to try the shake yet, but by the time I record this or we put it up, we'll have tasted it, and I'm sure I'll be able to give it a thumbs up. This episode of The Therapy Show is sponsored by my favorite fitness apparel, Zaya Active. I recently discovered Zaya Active when I went looking for high quality and premium workout clothes. Just like those luxury store and catalog brands, yet I wanted a budget-friendlier price tag. I love this brand because number one, I live a very active lifestyle. I hit the gym about 5 days a week, plus I love to go for runs and long walks, which I consider to be my very important self-care and podcast listening time. Plus, the endorphins I get from my workouts keep me in my happy mental space. The clothes stay put, I'm not constantly pulling on my leggings or tugging on my sports bras, and they accentuate me in all the right places. And number two, when I work from home, I love to be comfortable in leggings, also known as yoga pants, and a tank top. Plus, I can transition to running out the door to pick up our girls or run errands while still looking put together in my athleisure styles. My favorite workout leggings are the light and tights, and my favorite everyday wear are the everywhere pants. I literally wear them everywhere, every day. I can even wear them to business meetings or client consultations. I can dress them up or down easily. Want to learn more? Head over to lisamustard.com and click on the Activewear page. You can learn all about Zaya Active, the mission, the clothes, and see if they are a fit for you and your active life. From weight training to running to Zumba to yoga to CrossFit to bar to walking to tennis, Zaya Active has you covered. And don't forget about the active men in your life. They have an amazing men's line, plus clothes for active kids too. That's Zaya like papaya active. So see my site for all the details. So what are your plans for now? What is the future looking like?
Well, the future's looking awesome. I mean, I think now that we've made the shifts that we've made in my business model, and definitely for those out there listening, like, don't get married to a specific business model because it may be what you envisioned and you don't want to kind of give that up. But if you're not open to looking at it another way, and maybe it looks as a different way, you may be missing out on some opportunities. So I think that's kind of where we've gone with it, is we've transitioned to this really cool, and this is basically what everything's transitioning to anyway, a very virtual model where we just launched an app 2 months ago. So now our programs are available on an app, and that's much more appealing too, especially to the young people that we're trying to help. And we're mobile, so anybody can do our programs anywhere. You don't have to have a phone call, because before we used to schedule phone calls with our clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now, sure, you can still do that if you want, but mainly it's texting. That's all people want to do is text. They want to, I can open up the app and I can see all the data. I mean, how cool is that as a clinician? Don't you wish you could just do that? Like, open up an app, see all the data that you need to make a really good assessment and evaluation on that client, be able to ask them a couple of questions that are relevant, make the changes that you need to make, and send them on their way.
Yep.
It's so, I know it's a very brief kind of model, but it's really cool because not only are you appealing to a lot of people who prefer that and just feel like they don't want to invest the time in having long phone calls with you and meeting a trainer at a gym. Again, you don't have time to commute to a gym. So it kind of wraps it all up into a very convenient process for anybody who's doing our program. And I think that's just kind of the way of the future. So if you're listening out there and you're kind of pushing against that, that's just the way it is. I mean, with the counseling models, we're going to virtual counseling and video counseling. So get on the bandwagon, because that's what the people want.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've had some experience over the past year with virtual counseling and online platforms. At first, I had a really hard time finding the efficiency. I wanted to know it was going to be efficient, but people are open nowadays to trying new things. And we're so busy. We're so busy that so many people can't make it into an office to sit for an hour. They got to think about their kids. They think of getting away from their job. But yet, if you can get on a platform and at your lunch hour, talk to your therapist over text, then why not? Why not explore it? I think a lot of my mentors are pushing back against it. It's very, very different. But like you said, if you are just starting out and you're looking for different ways to get out there and make a difference, why not give it a look? You have to try it out for yourself to make that decision that fits for your counseling style and for the folks that you want to work with. I love what you just shared. And I wanted to ask, do you only work with military, or do you work with civilians as well?
We do. We work with everybody. We don't, well, I won't say we don't turn anybody down, because we do, but it's amazing because so here's where the niche marketing comes into play. And I highly encourage anybody out there who's, looking to kind of start your own thing, have a private practice, even if it's a part-time thing. The one thing that I wish I had really learned early on, and it took us a while, and I think it cost us a lot of time, money, and frustration, was not laser focusing on our niche. Because, when we first started, I wanted to do, corporate wellness and fitness. And, we also wanted to do some wholesaling with our bars and our supplements and gyms, right? And then we were, also helping the military members. And when you do that, when you focus on several different audiences, you are spreading yourself too thin. Mm-hmm. And you are now only able to give each group, let's say 25% of your effort, time, and energy and attention. When if you could just focus down on one group, you're going to get outliers. I promise you, it's not just going to be those people. I remember the first time I had a 72-year-old woman sign up for our program.
Wow.
I was like, are you mistaken? Did you type in the wrong thing? I was just trying to help her find what she was trying to find. Maybe she was trying to find Zumba and she accidentally put in Fireteam Whiskey. I don't know. But I was like, you are not who we were talking to at all. But she heard me on a podcast, and there was something about me and what I said. And she called and said, you're the one who's going to help me. And I'm like, wow, okay. I have no idea how you got that out of whatever what I said because I wasn't talking to you, but
Right.
sure, we'll help you.
Right.
And she was very successful in her programs. And you know what it was? I think she kind of heard the mental health aspect of what I was speaking to, and she'd never heard that before.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big part of her issues. So that was just something she identified she needed. And even though our program was quote unquote, military first responders, she identified that part of our program that she had never seen anywhere else and had ever been offered to her. And she jumped on that offer.
I love that. And I agree with her. They're in a lot of different niches with health and wellness and fitness. And it's rare, super, super rare. I come across a program that addresses the emotional health of this topic. It's super, super rare. So I think it's amazing that you had it. You said 72-year-old woman. You did awesome. I love that. That's so cool. And I like how you said that focus on your niche because you are going to get those outliers. It's very true. Very true. As a marriage and family therapist, that's what I originally focused on. And as I grew, I was doing more individual work. I was doing more, things outside of that. And I think you're spot on. So focus and niche down and know who you want to work with, who your ideal customer is. Have you pretty much grown your business on social media, word of mouth, grass, like pounding the pavement? How have you grown your business the most or the best?
That's a great question. I think I would say it's about 50% media and 50% word of mouth. One of the things that I learned from all the, I've read a lot of books about marketing. I've been in marketing seminars. I've inundated myself because, I'm basically my marketing department for my, I don't have all this money to pay a marketing division. One of the things that I learned, I think it was from Russell Brunson, was that you need to prove that what you do works, because everybody sells a widget, right? You as a mental health counselor are a dime a dozen. You could throw a rock and there's somebody who has a counseling degree, right? There's somebody, and then you have encroachment on your field, right? So then you have the coaches, the life coaches, the health coaches, the wellness, So you have just a sea that is saturated of people who do exactly what you do, right? And no amount of saying, I have X amount of experience and I'm certified in this, and here's my resume, and here's some extra letters behind my name, and don't I look really special? And none of that. Nobody cares, first of all. Really, bottom line, it's what's in it for me. That's all your potential clients are thinking. What's in it for me? So as much as you talk about me, they're not hearing it, because they want to hear about how their life is going to change by your impact. So that is what you have to laser focus on. And what Russell Brunson says is you can't do that unless you are able to provide some sort of feedback or data or information that you and what you do works for people. So focusing down on, and that's what we did at the beginning, was we did a pilot program. We gave our program to free to 50 individuals and let them do it, and then got testimonials back, got the feedback, and that helped us develop our program too and make changes based on that experience. So, again, kind of really laser focusing down on who are you helping? Is this making a difference? And then providing the proof of that, getting permission to give testimonials and things like that. So you can provide and put that stuff out there in the media market, because that's all people want to hear. They don't care how much it is. They don't care if it's discounted this month. They don't care if you've written a book or if you have this certification. All they want to know is it going to solve my problem? And if you don't have any of that information available to your potential clients, the phone is not going to ring.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah. So on social media, I think that's where we're really strong. And when you start hearing from people that say, oh yeah, I'm following you, or oh yeah, I see your stuff all the time, even if they haven't joined, because that's also another kind of rule of marketing. People have to be exposed to you like 100 times in order to even make one mini little step in the sales funnel, right? So even that may not even mean that they're going to buy anything from you. Maybe they just go to your website. That's step one of the sales funnel, is they just go to something you ask them to go to, or look at something you ask them to look at, right? So, but the media is so strong because you start hearing that over and over again is, oh yeah, I saw this. Oh yeah, I saw that. Oh, I'm following. Oh yeah, I saw your video the other day that you did about this. And that's what I love about what you do, Lisa, is that you encourage the people the clinicians that you work with, is to really get out there on social media, go live, just get out there, talk to, it doesn't really even matter what you're talking about. Like, you can just be talking about what you picked up at Starbucks. Like, right. You're sitting in your car. Hey, how's it going? Happy Thursday morning. Is it Thursday? I don't know. I just got my coffee. I'm really tired. Blah, 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 blah. How are you feeling today?
Right.
Because people are making a connection with you. Every encounter with you is not about trying to sell something, and it's, again, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? I mean, how can I identify with this person? How can I connect with this person? How can I trust this person? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to trust this person to help me with my mental health goals and help me clean up my shitty life if, I can't even connect with them.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. That's so true. I like how you put that out there. That's pretty much how I've grown my business, is going live, just showing up consistently, as consistent as possible with content. And everybody wants to know, what's the secret? I'm like, that's the secret. Consistency is queen and content is king. And when I say content is king, it's all about the problems that you solve for your audience. That's the content. And not every
exactly.
And you're right. Not every exposure has to be value adding content. I've done lives where we were at the grocery store and I said, look what, we're in the car. Look what I got from today's haul from the grocery store. I think I had my daughter interview me. She wanted to ask me some questions and she interviewed me on a live right before Mother's Day. Just to get yourself out there. The know, like, and trust factor is huge in building your personal brand. And then of course, building your business. This interview has been so awesome. I've learned so much, that I know we talked prior to this and I learned then, but I'm learning a lot more now. Do you have any books that you would recommend to the talk therapists listening out there that really got you inspired or motivated or have helped you forge this path for yourself?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest impactors for me was a book called Building a Story Brand. Mm-hmm. I can't remember who the author is, but that was a huge one because, again, it kind of helped me focus back on, it's not about what you're selling. It's about how you're telling your story and how you're telling your client's story. You're always focusing on, you're basically interpreting what you do as your client's story. Mm-hmm. And how, they're kind of the hero in this story. You're not the hero in the story, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So your product, what you do is not the hero. The hero has to be your client every time. Right. And so to translate that into everything, your website says, your messaging on your emails, your content, keeping that focused on, you are telling your client's story in various versions and all sorts of different ways. So you're connecting with as many people in your niche as possible. So that is definitely one of them that helped me understand that. And I think another one is an old MLM book, but I still love it to this day. And I think I've read it 3 times. Mm-hmm. Go for No.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I think that's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you are first starting off and you're trying to sell yourself and you're trying to sell something or what you do, it is so anxiety provoking. Mm-hmm. Because we all fear rejection, right? We just can't stand the fact that somebody is going to say no to us. And then we kind of psych ourselves out. We don't go for no. We step back. We don't offer our services. We don't take the opportunity to give our 30-second elevator pitch, right? We get scared. We're like, oh no, this isn't the right time. No, they're not the right person. No, they don't want to hear about me, what I do. And we are constantly shooting ourselves in the foot and taking away possible, opportunities because we're afraid of the N word,
Mm-hmm. Right.
But, I love that book because it really makes you kind of start to get over some of that fear of no. And like, what's the big deal? So what? They say no, and focusing more on, well, the more no's you have under your belt, the closer you are to a yes.
Right. Yeah. And I like how you brought that book in, mainly because that was huge for me in the beginning of starting the podcast. I have a dream list of people I want to interview. And my husband was like, well, just go ahead and start emailing them. And I said, well, they're going to say no because I don't have my podcast up yet. And he said, well, you don't know if you don't ask. And I said, you're right. I'm going to just do it. And so I remember there was this one day early April. And I just sat down and I just emailed like 5 people on my dream list. And I haven't heard back from any of them, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm taking it as, at least I did it. I got the nerve up to do it. So asking for the next person isn't so difficult. Asking the next person to be a guest, somebody who I admire and respect. And even when I reached out to you, I was like, she might think I'm doing something silly or she's not. I was just hopeful that I was clear enough to explain what I wanted the show to be. And so it is nerve-wracking, and I'm glad you brought that up because I think a lot of listeners, they have that fear. They're scared of rejection, and we're therapists, for crying out loud, and we should be able to our own awareness of what that's about. But we're humans too, and we all have our fears of rejection. And I love how you brought that up. Okay, so Stephanie, if our listeners want to learn more about Fireteam Whiskey, where do they go?
Fireteamwhiskey.com is really the place to go. We're all over social media, of course. Facebook, Fireteam Whiskey, Instagram, Fireteam Whiskey Military Fitness. Those are the main 2 we're on. We also, if you have an Android, if you go into your Google Play Store, you can go ahead and look up our app and download it right from there. So just search for Fireteam Whiskey in your Google App Store. And we also have a referral process. So if you're listening to this and maybe you are in the military or a first responder, maybe you're in leadership and you have somebody in mind that maybe could benefit from what we do, we would love to help them. And we have kind of a leadership partnership program where we'll work with you as a leader to kind of help you reach out and make that offer as a leadership and out of caring and concern, and get those persons connected with our program. And we offer a discount for those referred individuals as well. So even if you don't need us, maybe you know somebody who does, and we're happy to work with you to work on getting those referrals to us.
That's awesome. I like how you offer that referral system. That's really cool. It reminds me of our program that we worked on together just a little bit.
It does. Yeah. It's kind of a referral, warm handoff, consultation, leadership consultation. And, especially the military leadership really likes that service because, we can even get the permission with the military member to provide a weekly memorandum back to their leadership on their progress.
Nice.
And their compliance with the program. Because a lot of times maybe, even the leadership, and this is what I encourage the leadership to do. I was just talking to a lieutenant at an Air Force base yesterday about this specific thing is, she's a young leader, brand new lieutenant, have a little bit of leadership time in the military. So kind of mentoring her and saying, hey, how can you kind of show as a leader that you care about this person's well-being? Because a lot of times it's really sitting down and going, okay, you're being disciplined. We're writing you up on a counseling statement. This is a warning. You better meet the standard. Otherwise, we're going to do X, 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 And I said, how can you kind of show that you're invested? Like you're actually going to invest, not just saying, I'm going to punish you if you don't meet the standard. How about I believe in you. I think you can do it. And here's what I'm willing to do to invest in you in order to do this. So, that was the idea behind that program, is kind of coming away from that. We know as clinicians that the punishment model doesn't work, right?
Right.
So getting, that was kind of our way of embedding our Fireteam Whiskey programs in the leadership aspect and going, hey, instead of the stick, how about let's try some carrots.
Right.
let's do some encouragement kind of outreach. And so that's why we have that program set up, is to kind of get ourselves inserted into that process, work with leadership on encouragement and investment. And so then they have the buy-in. So they're getting the information back about how, the soldier's performing in our program and if they're complying or not, but also they're showing an investment to the service members. So that encourages them to do it, and it gives them a lot more incentive than a stick to succeed.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. It's so smart. It's really smart. It's great that you're able to take that skill set of a counselor and show, emulate that to the leadership and make it easier for them. Give them the skills to be able to make a referral from a place of good leadership and care and support. And I love how we're able to do that now in the military more so than we have been in the past. It's pretty neat to see some of that culture shift just a little bit. And I see it where I am. So I'm encouraged. And I'm just so grateful. Yeah, I'm so grateful that you came on the show today and that you shared all about Fireteam Whiskey and about what you're doing and your the path that you've had. And I can't wait to see where you guys are in another year. It's just incredible what you're doing.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me on, Lisa. It's been fun.
You're welcome. Well, that wraps up another episode of The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine. Be sure to visit lisamustard.com to access the show notes and discover more fantastic content. And I'd be grateful if you subscribe to the show. Thank you.